Hi everyone, we're here again for another puppy video. There's a lot that's happened this week, the good and the bad. Well, more bad than good, unfortunately. We've had several little things that have happened, but we'll start off on a good note and say I found another enrichment fun toy. We do rant and rave about the licky mats. The licky mats are mats with sort of bumps and squares and little like knobbles and stuff that you can spread the likes of like gravies or cheeses or I don't know what else, peanut butter and stuff like that, creamy stuff over the top, and your dog will, I'm wonky, and your dog can't lick them out. Like Cali loves these, and we've got a couple, sort of the different textures and shapes, and she absolutely loves them. So I was wandering around Pets at Home aimlessly a couple of days ago and came across this thing. It says exactly what it is: a licky mat wobble. It's a licky mat bowl. So you put whatever you've got in there. As you can see, it's little sort of knobbly bumpy things. Put it in there, stick it in the freezer for a while, let your dog lick it out. I haven't tried it yet because I don't have space in the freezer for it to go, but we'll give it a try and see what happens. Put some nice things in it. So where do we start with all the other stuff? First of all, I think we'll start from the start of whenever it started to go wrong. Dad and I were coming home last Wednesday. I had last week's video filmed before this happened, you see. But we're coming home and my dad misjudged a roundabout by accident. And the other car came swooping past us. He ended up having to smack the brakes really hard. And Cali, despite wearing her seatbelt, ended up slamming into the front seats just with the complete shock, because it was 100% an emergency brake. It was straight down. Cali went bang and back onto the seat. It was just a bounce. Now, she was perfectly fine. She wasn't injured or anything. We were fine as well. The car was fine. My dad was just a bit of an idiot for not reading the road. So I immediately then took her out. As soon as we got to safe space, I took her out, tracked her all over, make sure she was moving properly. There was no shock, no nothing. She was completely fine. Went on our way. Then the next time I went to get into his car was on Saturday. So then we could go down to Kirkcaldy for work, aka Dundalk. Her and I get into the car, everything's fine for the first 10 minutes, and then she realises she's in his car with his driving, and that doesn't go down too well. Now, most people would say, just sit in the back with her. That was the problem. I was sitting in the back with her. My mum was with us, so she was in the front seat. She was in the passenger front seat. So I was in the back with the dog, which is perfectly fine. She usually calms down and puts her head on my knee and she sleeps whenever we're driving. That's fine. Except this time, I genuinely thought she was going to barf with all the stressing she was doing. It was just constantly whining and getting up and sitting down and standing up and down and sitting down. She just didn't stop moving. And she was whining and she was shaking like mad. I kept giving her really tiny treats because I don't give her breakfast in the mornings on a Saturday especially, because we have to drive from Lisbon all the way down to Kirkcaldy, and it's quite a bumpy road and quite twisty turny road. So I've learned the hard way that if I feed her beforehand, she's sick in the car, so I don't feed her beforehand and then feed her as we're training at Kirkcaldy, which works. So I hadn't fed her, but I reckoned some treats wouldn't do any harm with trying to help her cope with whatever she was going through. But the treats didn't do anything. The treats or the food just didn't do anything. And I had like sausages and stuff like that cut up, and there was just nothing. The only thing that seemed to help was just hugging her. So I hugged her from Lisbon to Kirkcaldy. So, and she's a lot better in it now. I think it was just sort of like the sudden realization that she was in the car and she couldn't get out. But she was in the car today and she was in the car yesterday. And she was okay. So, fingers crossed that's the end of that. Secondly, yes, we were walking in Newton Ards. We were coming past, some people might know it, I'm trying to think. We're coming past the public bathrooms in Newton Ards. And there's these, because schools are out, there's a couple of lads out. They're probably about 13 age, 13 upwards, maybe 13 to 15. Three of them. And they were walking across the footpath. I usually try to stay on the left-hand side of the footpath, which is the inside. But they were taking up the space, and they didn't look like they were going to maybe give me a little bit of space. So I ended up having to go out to the outside of the footpath, which is fine, because Cali was walking perfectly at heel. We were walking past, totally fine, and one of them lets off this, like, sound grenade thing. It was, I don't know what it was, but it looked like a little sound grenade. That's the only way I can describe it. I don't know if it's a thing. Maybe it's a thing for, like, trying to stop dogs from barking, but I heard it. And it was like a pretty loud squealing noise. It was very unpleasant, to be honest. And he was just holding it in his hand, and he just, like, he held down a button, and this noise started coming out of the place. And Callie lost it. Absolutely lost it. And she was dancing about the space, and so nearly ended up on the road, which is busy. And first thing I know it looks awful, but the first thing I did was just reel in the lead and just, like, yank her back in, because it's better getting yanked than getting smacked by a car. Yanked her back in and then sort of, like, picked her up, because I know she's heavy and she's like 19, 20 kilogram, but it's far easier picking her up to soothe her than trying to find her and catch her and run around her. So I just scooped her up and turned around to the boy. I was like, "Why did you do that?" And she said, "Your dog reacted." That was the only reason why they did that. To get a reaction out of my dog. She nearly got killed because of a car that was speeding, firstly, but it was on the road. It was there where it was supposed to be. And I moved out for you, and you nearly killed my dog. I despair. The more and more I go out with my dog, the more and more I dislike people. It's just, I don't understand why someone would do that. It's so annoying. It's so annoying. And then, well, what else happened? There was another thing. Well, next happened was Saturday, where we were doing rally, and she had 2 really, really good rounds of rally. Now, she hasn't done rally well for a while because of her adolescence. She's been sort of going through that moment of, I don't want to do anything. So it was a nice surprise that she did 2 really, really good rounds of rally. So she did. They weren't perfect. There were small flaws. But if it was a competition round, I think she would have done okay. So sort of just okay, but okay. I'm okay with okay. So after Saturday, on Saturday we did scent work stuff as well, which does make sense because she found all the hardest ones. Although because there was little toilet roll holders, with clove oil attached to them, and we had to go find them around Kirkupton, around the base in Kirkupton. And she found all the hardest ones, which does make sense because she's a puppy and she should find the easiest. But hey, here we are. But after that, then was it Sunday? It was Sunday night. Because we go to church. We're those people. We go to church. So we came back home after the night service, and I gave her dinner because I don't give her dinner beforehand because she'll poop in the cage. I'll presume she poops in the cage because she poops after she eats. So I gave her dinner in her little rolly ball thing. Not her Kong wobbler, but it's like a little rolly ball, and it's got it's like a little maze on the inside, and just to roll them all out. So she hasn't had that wee toy in a while, so I gave it to her. And everything was going fine, and she was having a wee hook around. Got most of them out, and I was like hoovering up all the ones that sort of went amiss. And one had sort of slipped underneath the cooker. Now, our cooker is on the floor, and it's low to the ground. If you lose something under there, tough luck. I dread to think how much dog kibble is under there right now. So she was sort of lying on her flat side, like licking it and trying to get it back out. And the cat decided to be flirty and walks up to the dog and like starts rubbing herself, trying to rub herself on the dog's face. Well, Callie was that invested in trying to get that one piece of kibble out that she decided to become a little bit food possessive. She turned around and went, "Ah!" at the cat. And I I was angry because the cat was there before the dog. And the dog has not done nothing but terrorize the cats. So I picked her up. She was fine with me touching her. It was just the cat just got in her way, to be honest. I picked her up. I told her no in an angry voice and put her in her crate because I was that angry at her that I knew I was going to do something really irresponsible and start shouting at her for no reason. Well, for a reason, but not. I needed her to go away so then I could come down. Sometimes, again, this week I can't talk. I'm sure sometimes you'll find it as well with your puppies and dogs that sometimes you just need space. Often we talk about giving your dog space, but sometimes on rare occasions, us poor humans need space too. So I put her in her crate for 15-20 minutes. Sort of help her come down from that little moment and for me to come down because I was so angry at her. She's never done that before. She's been in that situation before and has been fine with it. But maybe she was just so hungry or wanted that piece of kibble so much it invested all of her brain strength into that the cat pushing against her was just too much. So in order for that not to happen again, the cat is far away whenever the dog is being fed. The cat is in another room with a closed door, or the dog is in another room with a closed door. Or the cat's in the garage, or the cat's outside, or something like that. So dog and cat are completely separate when eating. So, fingers crossed, that'll solve it. But yeah, that was an incident. No one was hurt, and the cat was completely fine. Cat ran off and sort of looked awful sad as always. But cat was totally fine. Dog was totally fine. I was totally fine at the end. But things like that just happen. They just happen. So we've come out of that. We're all okay now. And then today, Wednesday, because we work in the salon, I was talking about this in the last video, that she gets hairs stuck up in her gums. So every night, I religiously open up her mouth and pick out all the hairs because the hairs can get all shoved up in there and they can get infected and nasty. So, last night I was having a wee hope, everything was fine. I always check her teeth as well. Check her teeth, everything was looking good. Okay, well done. Go to bed. Night night. I was looking in her mouth in the middle of today and I noticed something odd. And I think, oh, she's got something stuck to her tooth. I have a look and it's not something stuck to her tooth. It is in fact a chip in her tooth. I don't know how she's done it, but she has chipped the back of one of her big spiky teeth in the front. Which I'm very annoyed about because she's 9 months old. She's not 10 months old, she's 9 months old. For some reason I thought she was 10 months. She's 9 months old. And she's chipped her tooth at 9 months old. So I'm going to have to keep an eye on it because I don't think it's gone to the nerve, to the soft, pulpy stuff in the middle of the tooth. I don't think it has, but I don't know for certain. She's not wincing at it or pulling away whenever I touch it and have a look. It is clean. Well, as clean as a dog's mouth can be. But if it starts going funny colours, I'm going to have to take her to the vet and possibly get a root canal done. And those boys are expensive to get done. But thankfully I have dog insurance and hopefully that'll cover it. But I'm very annoyed. On her behalf, I'm annoyed. I wish I was the one that chipped my tooth because it's far easier for me to go get a filling than her. Plus it means that she'd have to go under anaesthetic and I don't really like that. But here we are. I would show you, but she's fast asleep right now and I feel bad because she's very tired. Because as well, this week it's been very, very hot. So me and my sister and the dog had a water fight outside. So we all know that the next thing my mother is going to say, I smell wet dog. So, yeah. But, yeah, a lot of bad stuff has happened this week. But there's been the odd good thing. So we've got a new enrichment toy. We did 2 good rounds of rally and some really nice scent work. We had a fun water fight. Oh, and I got dog ice cream. well, it's dog ice cream powder that you put in water and then freeze it. So we'll bust that open and give her some nice cool treats because it is very warm and very sticky and yucky. So I will say goodbye because that is all for this week anyway. And we will see you all in the next video. Bye!